Let's talk about why Toxodeth Projects is so weird and strange. The reason is because back in 1994 we were always practicing and practicing the same songs over and over again. And it came to a point that I got tired of practicing the same over and over again. So at some point I decided to create something else that has nothing to do with the death metal or thrash metal or black metal from the day. I don't like to practice songs any longer because that tour from 1993-1994, it was for me my demise, if you want to call it like that, or my decline, when I start seeing how music business works, how the music industry works, and then I just decide to, just give up because it was an almost an impossible um, way to go with all these people obstructing the way or to reach your success. You have to, you know how it works. It's just so sad that that is no longer your talents as musician or as a producer. It was all about, like politics, dealing with friends and enemies and stuff like that. And I was thinking, no, no, no. I was grown in during the 80s metal scene. It's when I started my band and all that. And once the 1990s arrived, even it was the same, but more modern or more like a brave new world, more aggressive than ever before. So I gave up with the Toxodeth death metal thing and practicing over and over again and touring and whatever because I got tired immediately. I will say I'm not your typical musician, or thrash metal musician. I always like to create different kind of music. That's the reason Toxodeth Projects is my source of my own things, because in the Toxodeth metal type of music was only that metal or that kind of metal, heavy, which is fine, but at some point, I'm telling you, after practicing and unsuccessful touring, you get tired of it, So I found some freedom, me jamming some whatever music I want to jam during those days. But yeah, pretty much this is just part number 1 or 8 or 10 or whatever from my stories about Toxodeth Projects and many of the recordings that has its own history behind it, which probably nobody cares. But I have to leave some. I have to leave some like testament or something about why we create such music, why we recorded, why we promoted, and blah blah blah. Which is not a big deal because nowadays that music it doesn't matter any longer. Was music recorded during 90s and early 2000s mainly, and I reached my end around 2009 with that music. I came to a conclusion that, well, it was enough. Like around 14 years just jamming and jamming, and that's the result, what you can see or hear on Toxodeth Projects and Spotify or anywhere you can listen to us. That's my story, that's my life on music. Maybe it's nothing for many people, but for me it was the only thing I was doing besides working like an ass, honestly, like an always working, surviving mood, which I never reached anywhere. I never went anywhere, except just keep recording and working and recording and sometimes playing live here or there. But it was a very hard life I got as a musician, very, very, very difficult, But who cares? Thank you for listening, and very soon more videos. Bye. The idea of uh, of creating this music, it was just merely from my heart, I will say, or merely from feelings. It was a very strange time for me. I was going through so much in my life in general, and so I started just grabbing the guitar and playing myself. Uh, just like, for example, I started with one guitar, then adding more guitars, and it was a very strange music which I never had the chance before to create or to do such things, because I never have any money or anything to make it possible. That my band, we were kind of like poor people, honestly, about with musical instruments, and it was very difficult for us back on the day in northern Mexico, to get anything done at all when it comes to music, or trying to play live, or to do whatever we have to do as a metal band to survive. So we have just the basics. We have just the guitar, bass, and drums, and amplifiers. But it was very difficult for us to gather everything, to put everything together. I never have any effects for the guitar ever. I never have the money. I always wanted a digital delay, that which it was so expensive for me. I cannot afford it. It was just very strange times during those times, that we were working with whatever we can work with. Means like whatever we have, we will do that. It was mainly just like my distortion pedal amplifier on the guitar, and let's keep jamming that trash, dead black metal, whatever. But at the same time, it was always in me the need to create and to record different kind of music, like what I do now as this experimental music I do, or I don't know how to describe it, contemporary music, whatever. But I tried to do my best during those days. I was completely experimenting. I don't even know what the hell I was doing. And I never had the chance to publish anything. We released a few tapes, cassette tapes, back on the day, mid 90s. And I don't know, like 200 copies, 300, 500 copies, whatever. And people listened to it. So many people didn't know that was us playing. Some people knew. But ultimately, it was a time when, at least on our side, it was more than ever before a lot of difficulties to keep going on, or to keep together as a band. So I decided to create these Toxodeth Projects, because Toxodeth was dead already at that point. I was very disappointed, as I explained, with the management of this record company, which was a major record company, BMG, and or Sony Music, RCA, whatever. And it was fine. The problem was that I have no experience properly, and very difficult for me to have the understanding of what to do, what not to do in such situations as dealing with a record company. I knew the basics, of course, but not a major record company, which it was our own destruction, because it is difficult to explain the story, but in a few words, it didn't work out, because they have other interests, they have other plans for us. They want to deviate us from the metal music we were creating. They want us to change the music style a little bit, and we just gave up. I say no, 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 screw this shit, fuck them, and also we were not getting any pay at all. we got paid like hotels and food and transportation, airplanes, etc. But cash money, it was very difficult. We got a very few from the royalties, which I have to share with the rest of the band. But it was just a miserable situation, honestly. That if I can go back on time, I will just not doing it. Believe me, it destroyed my life in a way. And anyways, that's history, it's on the past. But I don't care any longer.